you, and it works still.
That lighter is seriously, without doubt, phenomenal. Did you see that I posted a SD DuPont at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
And guess what? Fucking TSA fucking confiscated it from me coming back from Vegas, and I was like, there is no fucking way. And so I had to put it into a bag, put it into some mail home fucking system to then send back to here. So I've got to pay $35 or something, and for them to send that back. And I was like, but I'm definitely going to get it back, aren't I? Because that's my first SD DuPont lighter. And I was well excited.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
That was like my Christmas present to myself. I was like, oh, it's this just.
Oh, James, could you do me a favour? In that bag thing down by there, I've got like a little cigar rest.
Yep.
I've just used that as an ashtray over here. Yeah, honestly, with a cigar, that whiskey changes so much. And like with a cigar malt, it can go either way. But with that, I found it phenomenal.
I tell you what, I just got a really big, strong taste of vanilla.
Yeah.
Off of that.
Thank you, both. There we are. Well, cheers, Nick.
Ooh.
Thank you very much, pal.
Cheers, pal.
It's been a fantastic,
Thank you very
fantastic
much.
day.
I know and you, mate. I know that's perfect.
Cheers, James. Thank you very much, mate. It just goes down so well.
That is really, really nice whiskey.
Yeah, because when we were at the Scottish Bull and I had the regular, the 12-year, with you guys, that was just completely different to every other Scotch I've ever had. And then we had the Dalmorol cigar malt after that, and I was just like, take me back to the time, dude. That was phenomenal.
It's a good one. Hugh is massively into his whiskies. I have to take my hats off to him. I don't think he's a member of Soho Whiskey Club.
Yeah.
And his knowledge on whiskey through the guys at Soho Whiskey Club, and a good friend of ours, Reese.
Phenomenal bloke.
It's understatement. Understatement. That lad. Knowledge-wise is an understatement. And I think he's such a. You walk away a better person, and I think knowing him, and I think his knowledge of cigars, his knowledge of whiskies, and he's a well-travelled lad. And he dresses phenomenal. And I think, but
that
good
event,
friend.
and he was in the custom-made smoker's jacket, and he looked the dog's bollocks.
Dressing gown. Yeah. But and I think cigar, and his concept of his take of a evening dinnerware.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic.
Good lad.
But no, honestly, it's been an amazing day, and so kind of talk about what we've been doing, to be fair, because it's been non-stop, really. We met up, we had some fantastic runs at the shooting range, and those guns that you brought blew my mind. They were incredible.
You're more than welcome any other time. Like I say, firearms in the UK is a touchy subject. People get quite worried that people have firearms with them, and they're firearms. They're not weapons.
Yeah,
and they will never be used as weapons. Touch wood, in the UK for that reason. But sensible firearms use is and like what we did, and I think was a very chilled explanation of the different firearms that you can kind of own in the UK.
Yeah.
And the different things that you can do as long as you're a sensible firearms holder. That's all that matters. And a shotgun is an Englishman's right, or a British person's right to own a shotgun. Everybody should be able to hunt. And hunting bird is one of the best things in the world. And I think and I had duck this year for Christmas, and I honestly thought that it was beef. It was cooked that well, and I think beautiful, and it was absolute great meal. But it's it's about being sensible.
That's the main thing, yeah.
Like mainly, I normally just put a piece of paper up and try and get the smallest groupings and from the furthest away, and I do holes in paper.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the fun part of shooting.
Honestly, like, I was just proud to hit the paper.
You did a good job, and I think you both did a good job. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
well, you blew the target away with the shotgun.
that was very fun. That was phenomenal.
Next time we'll make sure there's a better backing.
That was insane. Like, again, like I thought in the UK, if you're a farmer or you get the license, you can have, like, say, a double barrel shotgun or something like that. I didn't realize how much was available in the UK. Like you said, you don't want people to think, oh, there's people with all these armories around the UK, because it's a very strict method to get them.
Yep.
So you're not just any Joe Blogs off the street can walk in and get them. So, and we don't have any instances like America do.
We do have a couple. I don't think but it's again a touchy subject, and I think what happened down in south, and there's been a couple of incidences where firearms have been misused. But in like any industry, any environment, any sport, someone always does something stupid.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
sadly,
it's human nature. With you're always going to get one who can ruin it for a lot of people and put a bad name on them.
They do, and I think, and sadly, it tars the industry or tars the sport. And like I say, and I think I'm a big fan of target shooting, and I think putting holes in paper. And I beat myself up, and I do if I get a bigger group in, and I do it's like archery, golf, and any sport has that kind of like proficiency. The more you practice, the better you get at it.
And I found it a very calming thing. Like when you're aiming down that scope, concentrating on nothing but your breathing, it's almost like that feeling you get when you're fishing and you've just got to focus on the float. It's a very, what's the word? It's very peaceful and just very what's the word now?
There is
tranquility.
Tranquility. Yeah, let's go with some tranquil.
The whole, it is, and like what we were saying earlier, I think it's that whole any activity or sport, and I think if it can drop your shoulders down and you can relax over it, and I think and actually makes you kind of like calm, and I think you've got to be calm in any proficiency because you've got to be good at what you do with it. That's the good part, and the fun part of it, and that's what makes it more enjoyable. But yeah, I think I'm just like I'm lucky to have a firearms license, and I'll jump through the hoops, and to be sensible, with that.
Yeah, I mean,
it is, but all it takes is one silly incident,
yeah,
and you can lose it. And I think it's not your right to own a firearm, and it's a privilege.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with you as well, you've lived your whole life around firearms, essentially, haven't you? So if anyone's going to be sensible with it, it's going to be you, really, isn't it?
Not necessarily. I don't think you look at people with whatever I'm no better person than you or the next person or the person who lives next door or whatever, and it's just if you want to have nice things, you've got to be sensible.
Yeah.
And that's how it should always be. If you're an idiot, then things get taken away from you.
Yeah.
And then don't complain about it that they've been taken away from you. And we have a massive different concept to the way that firearms are held with inside the UK to firearms in the US.
Yeah.
And the US side, we're going to go down a massive rabbit hole now. The US side, the US firearms rules started the same as ours. They adopted the same firearms rules as what the British had. However, laws come into effect, sensible practices come into effect, and we've just changed it. And I think now, firearms wise, do I think the US is better than the UK? No. Yes, they've got different firearms, but they've got worse rules than what we have.
Yeah.
The loss of pistols in the UK, UK mainland, because you're allowed a pistol in Northern Ireland.
Okay.
You're not allowed them in the UK. You can have LBPs, long barrel pistols, but that's a rule and a regulation that's come through that's then made it for us here in the UK and at mainland. The US, you can have pistols for personal protection and stuff like that. Our rules and regulations are different to the US. US, you have to respect and you can protect property.
Yeah.
In the UK, we can't. You only can use you can't use a firearm for protection of persons in the UK, but if somebody comes and sets fire to your house here in the UK, I don't think you let it burn. In the US, I know you can shoot the person.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the weird part. And there's a lot more that goes into US politics and US laws and British rules and British laws.
Yeah.
But as a very, very brief kind of thing, the protection of persons and property in the US is a big thing. Rightly so, and that thing for the US. In the UK, it's the protection of persons only. And I think so. If I see somebody attacking you, I'm allowed to attack that person to stop them assaulting you.
Yeah.
So we do that. Now, if somebody's attacking a car or an inanimate object or whatever,
Yeah.
uh,
That makes sense. I mean, there's a reason we've got insurance.
yeah, exactly that. And I think you got insurance, and I think it's only metal and plastic. So be it. And I think it's not a thing, but or a big thing to worry about. Yeah.
But no, honestly, I just want to say thank you for today because it has been a hell of an experience for me. And obviously, you are one of the main people in Trident.
Yeah, and sadly, we don't have Hugh with us, who is my better looking other half. Obviously, he's, as I explained to you, and I think he's extremely busy and been away.
Yeah, he's a busy boy.
Well, both of us have.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've only just got back from America, was it a few days ago?
Mhm.
Yeah, so you're both non-stop. So what I don't understand is how you're able to run a cigar company that is phenomenal, while also both working your day-to-day jobs, while also doing the hobbies you both have, and then meeting everyone in the industry and you're both doing the events where you sit down, have a cigar with us, come on in, free to walk in, and it's things like that where it's like, how do you find the time for all this?
I think both of us have a very, very strong case of ADHD.
I could see
it. to kind of fit it all in. Both of us have got our day jobs. We then also have our side passions, which we're very, very into. Excuse me. I'm very lucky to be affiliated to and do. And then we have Trident, and Trident is a kind of thing that both of us are extremely passionate about, but get quite worked up about. And I think our hearts are more into Trident than because what Trident gives at the end of it, what it does for us. And I think as a smoker, there's a lot more. Sadly, it's not advertised as much. I think the benefits of cigars.
Yeah.
And cigars actually do have a phenomenal lot of benefits.
Yeah.
And that's what's brought me and Hugh together.
Yeah.
Hugh's from a different cap badge in the British military. To me, a phenomenal history that his organisation has, and at the Parachute Regiment, completely different to my regiment, which was the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers, and then later the Rifles. So
because you two didn't meet while in serving at the time, did you? Because obviously you still serve as a
reservist
at the moment, don't you?
Yeah. So when me and Hugh met, well, actually both of us, we were both reservists at the same time. Hughes went into the medical corps when he left the regulars. So both of us served regulars. When we left, I joined the rifles, and Hugh joined the medical med reg. And he went down that path of first aid and got his knowledge from there. I went down the rifle side, which is very, very similar to what we were already doing as being a soldier, but the more of the training stuff I think was the side that I kind of like helped out with the reserve unit that I work with.
Yeah.
And then Hugh's left because he's got a hell of a lot on to do. Work-wise, I only give one Tuesday night a month now. I'm getting back into it more, I think, but for a while, when we first started Trident, we couldn't give the time to the reserves. But
dialed in
Beautiful.
and recording.
There we are. Sorry about that,
all right.
So yeah, well, going back to obviously what you guys do, especially in the cigar industry, you guys give a lot of money and different sort of benefits towards a lot of charities. And I experienced that firsthand, obviously, when I went to Scotty's Little Soldiers Ball with you. That was a phenomenal event, and hearing from the kids and the mothers of the kids really hits home, and
Breaks your heart, doesn't
it
it?
does. When you told me, "Oh, bring a few tissues," I was like,
Yeah.
I'll be fine." Then I'm just there like,
It's a hard one, and I think and it'll probably catch me off. And I think we don't do enough for charity, and I think we all think that we do, and I think by throwing money into a bucket or whatever. But there are so many great charities that sadly are doing the work of what our government should be doing.
yeah,
Our government should be supporting all of these fantastic charities, and whatever they are, cancer research or kids with disabilities or learning disabilities or as such, or anything, people with injuries, people bike accidents and stuff. All the fantastic charities that are out there in the UK and around the world as well. In theory, they're just filling the spot, which governments don't do. Putting extra funding into that place to then be able to provide a network or some support to a organisation. And Scotty's, which you got to see, is one of our charities that we look after, and privileged to be affiliated to have our name and say that we look after them, or they're yeah, and I did as a charity, they do amazing work, and hopefully, touch wood, and they will do. They'll be bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And sadly, there's a need for them. And what they do is phenomenal. And
yeah. And that's the thing, like you said, you can give money all you want, but it's also the awareness that you bring for them. Because to be honest, I never heard of Scotty's Little Soldiers until I started to know you guys.
Yeah.
So that's another charity that, even if it's 10, 20, 30, 40 people, whoever, when you put an Instagram post up for them, all those people are then seen as charity that they might not necessarily know they existed. They might not know what they were doing for, the kids, the mothers and all that. And it's just that knowledge that you're gaining and knowing who they are it's worth its weight in gold, as well as giving. Obviously, you donate a lot as well, but it's that awareness that you're bringing for it as well.
It's yeah, we're just lucky in what we do, Hannah. And we'd love to give more. As I said to you earlier, we've doubled our charity contribution and of what we made last year, and we've doubled it. And I think we've done that three times now, and every year we've doubled what we've made as a company, and for our charitable contribution to these fantastic organisations. Scottish Little Soldiers, a foundation set up to support the children of bereaved soldiers. These children, I get to sadly, they're missing one of their parents. due to their military service. And this organisation looks after them, which is absolutely phenomenal. I think that what they do. The other charity that we look after or support to is Combat Stress, doing fantastic work in the mental health awareness side of what armed forces do. The lads who've served either in theatre or out of theatre, and because that's the big thing as well. And I think you can get a the mental health side doesn't have to be just because you've been to war, I don't think, or you've been on operations, or you've been this. The mental health side is about whatever side where it comes from, and I think is we have a lot of dark demons, and we keep them inside, and we don't talk about them, and then because we don't talk about them, they play on our mind, and we do stupid things. And sadly, the bad part about it is that person doesn't know how many people do truly think about them or love them or think about them all the time. And when their funeral happens, you've got a massive amount of people turning up there to put a wooden box in the ground, and that person who's in the box
thought that there's no one there for them, or
thought that they were by themselves, and sadly there's 100 people stood outside that box, and it breaks your heart. I think and there's 100 people stood outside asking a million questions, saying why. I don't think so charity wise, and I think me and Hugh we kind of got round our mental health awareness part, or a mental understanding of why we struggled or what we did with. Cigars was one of our things that we really enjoyed and made us drop your shoulders. I will say it a million times, and I think by enjoying a cigar, I don't think chatting, having that conversation, your shoulders drop, you relax, you start to be able to enjoy a conversation that is not related to the military, or it's not related to cigars, or you just we've spoken about a million different subjects today.
I mean, today, we spent the day with each other, and from whatever we were doing, shooting, down the pub having a cigar, or whatever we were doing, even just driving, the conversations that we're having, it could be about complete random things. We're talking about experiences, like you guys have been talking about your experiences in Nicaragua, and now my wife's going to kill me because I'm going to have to book a ticket to Nicaragua. And things like that.
Hopefully with us, and I think that we get to do it all.
That'd be amazing for us all to go over there. But no, even just from having cigars in your lives, the people you meet is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I've met James, met you guys, and the countless people, just from uploading a photo of my cigar to Instagram to doing this podcast. It's just because I enjoyed a cigar and I was like, I can talk to people and do this. The opportunity that I've had from it is phenomenal.
But that's exactly what the cigars were all about for us as a company. For you to enjoy a cigar, to then take you on a long journey of understanding the cigar, the brand, the company, and then the persons behind the company. And I think you do, and I think, and there are many great cigar companies out there, and fantastic whiskey companies, wine, and so on, whose story of it's just not the item or the product, and it's then the story of everything else that goes with it. Trident started from a club in London, where me and Hugh met, and then 4 years down the line, we've proved the concept. We're not a one weekend cigar that popped up and disappeared. We're a brand that is and will carry on to produce a great stick. It may not be for everybody, but go to another cigar, I think, or try one of our other blends. I'm not going to get offended over it. At the end of the day, we're 4 years in now, and nobody's gave us a battle. Nobody's said it's a bad stick.
No.
Or gave us bad criticism of the makeup of our cigars. And I hope, touch wood, and we keep on making great sticks that people get to enjoy. With good friends and places all over the world. And like I say, we're about to jump into the US. It's a massive market. We've got some great friends already over in the US who are gagging for us to be able to distribute over there, and I constantly when are you going to sell? When are you going to sell? I'm like, there's lots of hoops to jump through. Laws and legislation change all the time,
and that's the thing. Not only going from, just to go into the US, but the difference between the laws in the UK and the laws in the US, and you've got to learn all of that all over again, essentially, haven't you?
There's a lot. I'd say it's easier, but it's harder. Because you've got to play with 52 different states.
Yeah.
You're not playing with one state, which is the great state of United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So when we get into the States, it'll be a great experience for us. Some great travelling, I'm sure.
I bet you will.
When we go try and plug our cigars into the US. But there's some good friends that we've already got over there who will hopefully help us in our.
And I think, to be honest, in my head, obviously I haven't run the numbers, but Trident would do amazing over there, because not only do America love supporting troops, but they love Britain. If it's a British company who is producing these cigars, and it's also for military, think it's a win-win over there, isn't it? Really.
There is, but they're also massively patriotic. The Americans love the Brits, but they're hugely patriotic about their armed forces, and so they should be. The Americans will always say thank you for your service, which is a big thing over in the States, which is nice, but very weird to take on being a British soldier or British forces.
Well, that was one of our first conversations, because that's how I found out about Trident. I was smoking a cigar with a friend in Cardiff, and I was like, yeah, it's so weird that we don't support our troops like America does. They do a lot of these, like you said, thank you for your service and things like that. And over here, you don't even know if someone's served in the army or not. And then when I spoke to you about that, you were like, yeah, we kind of just don't want that, though.
Well, we're that stiff upper lip, good old British pride. We served. I served. Hugh served. The friends around me served, but we don't need a pat on the back. For what we did, we're happy that one day a year, in November, Remembrance Sunday, just for that day. That's our one day a year, to remember, past and present, the colleagues and the lads who we served with, them who are so sadly no longer with us. We're not massively into gratification of
I think
military service.
With obviously, hopefully, the way it's going, it's not about the gratification, but now it's okay. You've come home, you've served. Now let's look after you, and like you said, with the mental health things and stuff like that, having that support in place and getting those charities recognised for what they do is going to be a massive thing to. That's more of a gratification than just saying thank you, isn't it? Really,
it is. It is. We're lucky in the military of how we have a lot of things that are there to support us. if you're sick or poorly in the military and you need to go to a dentist, and you can go to a dentist in the morning and you're straight in to see the dentist. Sadly, as a civilian, it's a lot harder. So the but yeah, it's just one of them things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. So whereabouts do you guys see Trident in the next sort of 10 years then? Because obviously, hopefully, you'll get into America. And do you see sort of sticking to the lines that you've got now, or is there like lines that you've got you're thinking maybe we can go down that route to make it specifically, say, America sort of audience based, or is it you're going to stick to Britain? Or
So there is a new line of cigars that will enter the market soon. We are making the next line for the US.
Okay,
It's not solely for the US, but it will revolve mainly. A best way to kind of explain it is it's a British concept of respect to the US Armed Forces.
okay, yeah,
We're a British military brand. We are very privileged to serve alongside our American brothers and sisters. And we're going to do our concept as a thank you to them and the charity contributions that we currently do now, and I think for the UK, cigars sold in the US, the charity contributions for US sales will go to a US charity.
yeah.
And rightly so.
I agree. Yeah,
So we're working with a number of companies and different charities that are there over there that are similar line to what we do here in the UK, and I think it'd be great to get over into the US
yeah,
and do
definitely.
exactly the same thing and support mental health awareness, and also look after the kids of bereaved armed forces lads and lasses. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, so over here in the UK, we've got actually 4 different cigars. So we've got obviously the Few, which that is for the Air Force, isn't it?
It is.
That is a phenomenal stick, and well, they all are obviously. The smaller one though, that is always a surprise to me, is the Petite Panatella, because that I've said to you before, I'm not particularly a fan of a smaller cigar. But I smoke that, and I'm like, I need more. I need more of them.
A lot of people do, and I think it's been a fantastic stick. When we released the core line, I was very much in the idea of going, we need to go for our next cigar needs to be bigger. And Hugh, rightly so, common sense, good head on him, was like, no, Nick, we have shit weather. The weather in the UK is crap. Nobody wants to be stood outside for longer than half an hour. We need to go down the shorter cigar line. And we looked at different sizes. We looked at different lengths. And rightly so, what Hugh said was, I think let's go for a Panatella. And we ended up going with a Petit Panatella, I think. So got a nice it is a great Maduro wrapper on there, and I think with a phenomenal leaf with inside its construction, that La Bomba leaf, and I think which just makes it so much better. Yeah. You finish one in theory, you're after another. So things may happen in the future, and that we'll see. And like I said to you guys earlier on, maybe we may make a bigger version, and we're looking at it. There's lines. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah,
but the Petit Panatella has done phenomenally well. So we released in April this year on St George's Day, and we've done phenomenal.
Yeah, because obviously that is a tin of 5 cigars,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called the survival pack, isn't it, for you guys?
So it's not. it's the Petit Panatella tin, and I think a 5. But the story behind that tin comes as it's the same shape and size of the British Army survival tin that we used to have in our back of our webbing
Yeah.
or in our backpacks, and it had all sorts of weird things that you should keep in to find water, hold water, purify water, start fire, maintain fire, and how to, if you had to, survive. And
Yeah.
so a small like fishing line in there and a hook,
Yeah,
and all
okay.
stupid things in there. It's a little survival tin, and that survival tin of is a bit of a play to the 5 with inside it.
Mm.
As a nice little survival tin, and I think
It
there's
is
5
definitely,
sticks
yeah.
in there for 5 good friends,
Okay, yeah.
that can enjoy that stick together. So,
Yeah. Yeah, because after that you've got the 3 of your main line. So you got the Few, you got the Bren, which is phenomenal. That is obviously a Robusto.
yeah,
Robusto is I'd say Robusto is my preferred size, but the Few smokes like you said, like if the weather's not great and you've just got to quickly get one in, Few is phenomenal for that.
it's the shortest of the core line. It's our bestseller. The few, though the Warspite's creeping up there now, and I think
Yeah.
with numbers wise across the country. But for the first like year, 2 years, the few was our main seller.
Yeah.
It's a great small punchy stick, with full of flavour. It's not going to blow your head off. It's a mild medium stick, great for a starter, and the fantastic coffee stick.
Yeah.
I really do think it's a great coffee stick.
It is. Yeah.
However you take your coffee, espresso, latte, cappuccino, whatever way, that the few really, really does hold its own.
Mm.
It was designed round the RAF of the name of the few, them who gave their lives in the Battle of Britain. A 20-minute stick, and it was actually 22 minutes from the call of the radar picking up the Luftwaffe coming across the channel to then get fighter pilots into bums on seats, into aircraft, into the air to then repel
Yeah.
the Luftwaffe. And it was 22 minutes. So that's where the size came
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
which was a great kind of like play with numbers and time and size.
Yeah.
And it's a great stick. And then yeah, the Bren, which is our Robusto, dedicated to the army, pay homage to a fantastic weapon system, which was a Bren machine gun, which heritage comes back and plays through such a vast majority of the European countries and all over the world. And I've used it. I was in Ghana 5-6 years ago, and their police force still has the Bren gun to this day.
Yeah.
So it works well. It's a very cleverly made mechanism.
Because with the Bren, the magazine's on the top, isn't it? Of that.
It is
Yeah.
gravity fed,
Yeah.
so the rounds fall into the chamber, into the barrel, but the actual working parts of the Bren machine gun, if you look at the AK-47, the
Yeah.
Kalashnikov are very, very similar.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's the mechanism of how it works. The designers looked at both, and I think then played with it. So, yeah, Czechoslovakian in origin.
Okay.
Was the AK-40. Sorry, the Bren machine gun.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then obviously we've got the Warspite at the end there.
the Warspite, HMS Warspite.
Phenomenal.
Beautiful ship.
Yeah.
Beautiful ship. So all 3 of the core line play on a bit of heritage and history which is not widely known, or people know of Battle of Britain, but they don't know about the the pilots who gave their lives and the support staff that supported the aircraft to keep them aircraft in the air. And the Battle of Britain was mainly fought by foreign pilots, or foreign to this land. And they were Czechs and Poles and Australians. But they're the lads and lasses who kind of that homage part comes to of the few. And especially the ground staff that kept them aircraft in the air. Multinational, I think or the and great nations that that supported that phenomenal fight. The Bren, with inside the box, there's actually 3 photos with inside there. One of some Sikh soldiers, some Australian soldiers, and then underneath the cigars and the base are Scottish soldiers using the weapon system in a anti-aircraft role. And then HMS Warspite, the ship, its heritage, the name that she comes from. There is a new ship that's about to hold her name, which is a nuclear submarine, a HMS Warspite. So the HMS Warspite that we dedicate this one to, was World War One, World War Two ship. Phenomenal history. She was the flagship of the Royal Navy, and she fired the opening salvo onto the Normandy beaches on the 6th of June in the early morning on the Normandy invasion, the Normandy landings. She helped fire onto all of the beaches. She helped the Americans, the Canadians, the British, and the French get into France to then obviously really start the World War II land campaign across the northern parts of France and Belgium, Holland, and then into Germany, and then end the World War II. But
I mean, when you look at the boxes and you see the photos and like that back photo for the Warspite, and you just see the size of those guns and everything like that. It must have been a massive ship.
I think she's not as big as what you would look at, I don't think, compared to all of the other ships of at that time. But they're 15-inch guns. So you're talking a good old
Fair whack.
big round being thrown nearly 16 miles. Sorry, 16 miles, 16 kilometers. It's a fair old whack, and throwing a big bit of metal, which is then going to explode at the other end. But the ship itself, so much history to it. All of the different parts. She was commissioned in the early 1920s. Did the First World War, travelled all over the world, the 7 seas, and then was involved down in the Falkland Islands, was involved in the Arctic with the Arctic convoys. She's been about, a phenomenal ship. And then we had World War II, and then she paid a homage there, and worked hard. Great history.
When she was in, how long was she in commission for in the end?
You got me there. She was decommissioned just after World War II, sadly, and sold for scrap, which was a shame. And I believe it was 1954, but I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But yeah, sadly she was sold for scrap, made into something else. But it's a phenomenal ship.
Yeah, it's got like you said, it's got such a impact on Great Britain's history, but obviously the world's history in that sense. It's firing the first shell in D-Day
Mhm.
alone is, it's got so much, just everything really, isn't it?
Well,
It's just
stories wise, and I think you could play. So she had a small aircraft that was upon her bows, which they used to throw this little aircraft off of her, that had no real armaments apart from mortar shells, which they would just drop out the pull the pin and drop off the side, and some anti-aircraft or some guns on it.
yeah,
That little aircraft was the first aircraft to get a confirmed kill of a German U-boat submarine. Um, in the um, in the battles in the North Atlantic, she was involved in a fight where the rudder of the ship was stuck, and she was in a long turn. And what happened is the Germans actually thought that HMS Warspite was going to ram one of the German ships, so the German ships turned their guns upon HMS Warspite, which actually saved the one of the sister ships that was being within inside that contact to get out of it, and she was then later repaired and recovered and repaired. But HMS Warspite, the rudder was broken, and looked like it was going to ram the German ships. From that, the fire was changed onto HMS Warspite. HMS Warspite took a pounding.
yeah,
And then one of them shells then knocked the rudder free. HMS Warspite was then able to be able to limp home, but carry on the engagement bits. But the Battle of Jutland, that is, which is a fantastic, famous British German battle of navy ships.
yeah,
The um, the engagements onto the Normandy beaches for 6 days. She fired. She went guns empty 3 times. Went back to the UK, restocked, rebombed, came back to Normandy and re-engaged onto a different beach. The ship's phenomenal heritage, and the how many times she went into action. Pay homage to the name,
yeah,
and that's why we're lucky to have another ship
yeah.
named after her again. There's 9 ships named with HMS Warspite.
Okay, yeah.
The Or that have the name of HMS Warspite. It's a phenomenal ship with a
Yeah.
great heritage, and people don't know about it.
No,
So
honestly, until the day, obviously, we had a cigar tasting where we went through the history of all these as well, and I hadn't heard of the ship at all.
mm,
The few I knew about, obviously, about the Battle of Britain sort of thing, and with the RAF going up for the Luftwaffes, but the in-depth knowledge that you gave me on that, I was like, that is insane. And then with all your boxes, you have that page on the top, and it's beautifully decorated. It gives that story, doesn't it, of what these cigars represent? And
so each box has that little history lesson inside that tells a bit of history to that particular one, and we never tell it to verbally. I don't think it's always it's on the cards for you to read the history to each of them 3 core lines, for you to learn that little bit more
yeah,
about the RAF, the Army, and the Navy.
yeah,
Because history is something that we should learn from, and sadly we don't. Current times, we're doing the world's in a bad place again, and I think people doing stupid things, and we should learn from our history, to not repeat it and do it again.
yeah.
I think.
I mean, that's what they say. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, isn't it?
Mm.
And like you said, if only the world leaders could meet up and just have that civil conversation. Let's not redo this then.
So there's a great saying. If politicians were good at their jobs, soldiers would never have to do theirs.
Yeah.
And if politicians were good at a game of chess, maybe, and I think and they were all like chess champions, soldiers, sailors, and airmen would never have to give their life to their country. But it's one of them things. But
it's a tough one because in a perfect world, that's amazing, isn't it? And hopefully one day we can, as an entire planet, get there. But right now, like you said,
Space Force.
Yeah. Like you said, there's so much going on in the world right now. It only takes one thing to escalate even more, then, doesn't it?
It does. People with egos, religion, money, power. They're all the silly things. I don't think. And the British Armed Forces are the best armed forces in the world. Without a foul, we are the best armed forces in the world. We have strong men and women who are there ready to look after us.
Yeah. I mean, they say, you know, in all of the places that you could train in life, we've got, you know, you've got the deserts, you've got the tropical rainforests and things like that. But you come to Britain, you're cold, you're damp, you're wet, you're covered in mud. If you can get through that, you can get through anything.
Well, the funny part is where does the British Army send its soldiers to learn how to fight? Wales.
Yeah. I see the tanks going up and down the motorway every day.
Yeah.
You know, Wales, you got your mountains, so you've got to be fit to get up them. You're cold, you're wet, you're damp. If you can't look after yourself and, you know, make sure that, you know, you're looking after your feet, you're looking after your own health, you know, how could you get through anything of what you get through? And Wales it's a hard place to train. I mean, I can't remember who it was, whether it was someone in the SAS or previously in the SAS or one of the American fractions. I can't remember who it was, but they were saying Wales is the toughest place they've trained.
It's the hardest testing environment, or one of the hardest testing environments in the world. Every time you enter Wales, it rains. I don't think this is from a British concept. I don't think or perspective. I don't think every time you enter Wales, it rains. And as soon as you leave Wales, it stops raining. Nothing is flat in Wales.
No.
Everything is an incline or a very steep decline. You've got to learn how to live in that environment, and that's where, obviously, the British Special Forces have one of its homes. Navy-wise, I think the Navy has its ports up and down the coast. The RAF do a lot of flying through the Welsh valleys.
Yeah.
That's where the low-level flying.
The Mach Loop.
Mach Loop's down there. Yeah.
My uncle, he was a photographer, and he used to do a lot of photos for the RAF.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got some phenomenal photos where the RAF would be like, "All right, we're coming through. We'll be there in 2 minutes."
Yeah.
You'd get the photo, and you just see it crystal clear of the guy. He's put a piece of paper in the window saying "Hi, Mum," and it's a phenomenal photo. Really good photo.
One of the most amazing things out of it, you can do is go do the Mach Loop or go walk through the Beckett and the Snowdonia.
Snowdonia is really good, yeah.
I've been the Brecon Beacons, and the up on Snowdonia, and I've been on Snowdonia when a C-130 Hercules has flew underneath me.
Yeah, it's insane.
Or below me, and I think through the valleys.
Yeah.
And that is a phenomenal thing. And I think just be walking up the mountain sorry, we don't have mountains, and I think large hills. But the to walk up there and be able to see an aircraft underneath you, almost looks like it's going so slow it should fall out of the air.
Yeah.
But it's a phenomenal bit of kit.
Yeah. I think because I went up, it was not far from Cadre Dress. It's further down from Cadre Dress along that valley there.
Mm.
And again, yeah, we were up there waiting with my uncle. He's taking the photos, and yeah, a Hercules had come back. And I think is it the F-15? The RAF fly quite a lot.
Mm-mm.
No, can't remember.
So F series is an American aircraft, I don't think. So F-15s, F-16s,
I don't know.
F-18s. That goes into which American Navy aircraft, and I think.
I can't remember which aircraft it was there because he's obsessed with airplanes. So his wife wants to kill him 90% of the time because he has essentially the entire plane. I gotta find out which one it was, but he's got the entire plane in his house just in bits. Like he's got the ejector seat in the living room to sit on, and he's got a cockpit in one of the bedrooms.
So F-15, F-16s are the smaller of the American style aircraft. Obviously they're still flying now. You've got the F-35s, which are now flying through. And we've Britain's. A lot of countries have now got them. They're doing lots of runs through. I'm sure it's the F-16s. But I think the F-16 might be an American Navy aircraft. But the F-15 is a more of a air-to-air aircraft, and I think but they'll probably come from Scotland or.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at some of the aircraft these days, when you were looking, back World War II, and it was one of the first times where they went off a ship, wasn't it, to fly, to take off. And you got planes now that can just go and straight up in the air. It's crazy how much the technology has come now for the RAF.
They have fun. The Harrier jump jet was the first one. Obviously, Falklands War is where the 6 British RAF Harrier pilots and not solely fended off the RGs, but it's a phenomenal aircraft. The vertical takeoff, vertical landing, great bit of kit. And then you've got the F-35s now, which also have the same capability, but they're a beast of a
Yeah,
kit.
I bet.
I wasn't RAF, and I think, but like
I was going to say, being in the army, you kind of appreciate everything around the armed forces in general, don't you? So whether it is like the Warspite, you appreciate the ship for what it is, even though you weren't in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with the RAF. You're going to appreciate the planes, and you've obviously got friends who are in both the Navy and RAF, so they're going to be telling you everything there is about these things, and you get interested in it, don't you?
So the 3 spikes on the Trident. So Trident is Latin for 3 teeth.
Okay.
So the Army, Navy, Air Force on the 3 prongs. If you're going to do anything military wise, you need land, sea, and air.
Yeah.
And they're the 3 things to win the battle.
Yeah.
You can't do it with just 2 of you. Afghanistan, landlocked country. Guess what? The Navy were there. Royal Marines, Navy medics. There was a lot of Navy personnel there in Afghanistan at the same time.
Yeah.
So Army, Navy, Air Force, and I think all 3 will always be there. And I think that's how you win a fight.
Because with the British armed forces, our Navy is it the Commandos, the Royal Commandos,
Royal Marines.
Royal Marines, and then because obviously there's the Navy
Royal Marine
SEALs,
Commandos, and I think
there's the Navy SEALs, obviously the
US,
and then obviously the Royal Commandos, So with like Afghanistan and things like that, like were they still classed as Navy, or did they sort of help you know,
No,
say
they're
the
still
army.
Navy.
They didn't change over. It is just the Navy coming in to help you guys and stuff like that. Then.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's your skill.
Yeah.
So Royal Marines are very good fighters. The same as paratroopers, same as infantries. They just have a speciality.
Yeah.
So within inside the army, you have the light infantry, cap badges, who do a number of roles, and they do everything on foot. You then have mechanized infantry, who do everything with wheeled vehicles and small tracked vehicles. You then have armored infantry, who do everything in warriors, warrior armored personnel vehicles, and that's what I was part of. I was armored infantry, and then you have your airborne troops, your paratroopers. So you have the paras. That's what Hugh was. Hugh was a paratrooper, and I did get thrown out of an aircraft, ridiculously low level. Land on the floor, and then hopefully not have broken anything to then get into another fight.
Yeah.
And then you have the Navy have the Royal Marines. The Royal Marines are Arctic warfare specialists. They also have a phenomenal ability in the mountains, and obviously amphibious operations.
Yeah, it's like you said, you know, it's a landlocked country, so you would assume the Navy is obviously the sea. So, yeah, I suppose, thinking about it, I don't think I ever, until you said, thought the Navy was really that involved. But yeah, now you say that, it's...
Well, you also have our long distance brothers who nobody talks about, which is the RAF regiment, or the RAF Reg, and that's the infantry for the RAF Reg, and in all politeness, they look after air bases in foreign countries.
Okay, yeah.
But they will tell you different.
We're going to get a lot of comments on this video, like, no, he's like, no, he's wrong.
Yeah. So.
Okay, no worries, pal.
The RAF Reg are they're the infantry of the RAF.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, final question.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 3 sizes you've got, what is your go-to?
Warspite.
You like a bigger cigar.
The
torpedo of it as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm a massive fan of how the shape of this cigar directs and funnels the smoke and taste. And I think it gives it the really, really great flavour. Or lets the user, the person who's smoking that cigar, enjoy the cigar and flavours more direct. It channels it in and it gives you all of them flavours. And I think that's the great part of what the Warspite's about. And that's why the Warspite's my favourite. And I think I have no affiliation to the Royal Navy. I'm a massive fan of all 3 services, but yeah, the Warspite is it's my favourite stick.
I mean, that was the cigar that we smoked while we had a cigar and whiskey tasting before the Scottish Ball, and that was phenomenal. I mean, for me, just getting all that information. You guys are such a wealth of knowledge, obviously, not only about cigars but about all of the military background and everything. And hearing from you guys, there's so many things that I was just oblivious to. And you know, like you said, you've got to get that recognition for our boys out there, and it's a great way to, you know, I enjoy cigar, I like history, so learning from you guys is just it hits home for me. And it's such a nice way to learn. I didn't learn anything in school. Everything I've learned in my life is when I left school.
The military has and plays on a lot of its heritage, and history wise, and them great things that we've done in our past and bad things. I don't think we've done a lot of bad things as well, but the lessons that we've learned and that we should never do again. And yeah, as we grow as a business and as a and I think we've learnt a lot of good things. We've learnt a lot of bad things. Our cigars will only get better in our eyes, and I think and hopefully in the consumer's eyes as well.
100%, yeah.
If we're doing something wrong, we can take criticism.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Okay, not a problem.
Well, that's the only way you can learn. If you go, well, you've obviously you haven't got a defined palate, then have you? You're not going to sell them. You're not going to learn. And
yeah,
like you said, you guys have got the right attitude. And you guys have spoken to me about. I've smoked all of your cigars, and it's all right. Well, it's that in-depth. Just what do you make of it? What would you maybe change? What it's getting the consumers' knowledge as well as your own, and just blend them into one. And it's amazing. I really love what you guys are doing.
Well, we've played massively on the military side, and I think, but the main part is the cigar. We're only part of the industry. The cigar industry is huge. There is some phenomenal cigars out there.
Yeah.
And to be affiliated or in the same realm of some of the greats is a privilege. In that we never thought that we would be that part, but but at the end of the day, if it all goes bust and goes wrong, I've got a great supply of cigars for the rest of my life. And I think means you are well stocked to survive the rest of our life. And I think smoking a great stick, or four great sticks currently, which we're really, really proud of. And we, what we can do is get big. When we get bigger, our charitable contribution will get bigger, and that's what it's about. It's about giving back. It's not about making a brand that gets bigger and bigger and bigger and just keeps pumping out loads of cigars. It's about our charitable contributions and giving back to the charities that we're lucky enough to be affiliated to, and say that we're lucky enough to support. And like I said, when we jump over the pond or wherever we end up, which other countries we go to, if we supply into Europe, we'll certainly look at charities inside them countries as well, that the cigars sold in that country, enjoyed in that country, will give back to that country.
That's a great mentality to have, I think. But I want to thank you for everything, Nick. It's been amazing. Honestly, today is going to be up here on my deathbed. I'll be thinking about today. So thank you for everything, mate. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Anytime. And like, you want to do it again, want to play give me a shout, and we can certainly do. We need to go down to London. We need to do another day where we get actually more time on the range.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can, once you're free, we can I can book a weekend, just make sure that's free, and then whenever you guys are.
Trident's looking at doing a charitable clay pigeon, maybe pigeon day. So
that'd be amazing. Yeah,
the invite's there. I know.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Sorted. Happy days. So thank you, mate.
I started playing around with some photography. I've got some fucking great photos.
That whiskey lasted just to the very last, and that was spectacular.